Hey, let's talk a little bit about the Montreal screw job because I was reading some of your interviews or listening to some of your interviews about that, and you're basically the guy that came up with the finish, right?
Yeah.
So take me through that whole process because there we are. I mean, or there we're going to be there very very soon. Brett's going to go down to WCW. Need to get the belt off of him. Doesn't want to do the favors. So everybody's pretty much at a stalemate. And obviously, I guess every idea under the sun had been pitched to Brett, and he had denied and said no to every single one of them. So you guys, obviously, between a rock and a hard place, you got to get the belt off of him before it goes to WCW.
Yeah, everything you said is absolutely correct. What a lot of people don't know, Steve, is it should never come into question whether or not every idea under the sun was pitched to Brett. Because what a lot of people don't understand is when that happened, it was me, Vince, and Cornette. Okay? Vince pulled me to the side. Vince said to me, Vince, I'm going to call Brett now. I need you to be a third party on the phone to listen to the conversation. Okay? I was the third party on the phone, and I love Bret Hart. I love him. I respect him more than anything. I heard firsthand everything thrown at him. He poo-pooed. Everything. I mean, we tried to work Neidhart in. I mean, everything. And I mean, they were all pretty, as good as we could make Bret look. Everything, right? So this conversation had been going on, Steve, from 9 in the morning. It's 7 o'clock at night now. You know how, like, when you get to the point of you're not getting anywhere and you just freaking throw something out there because it's like, that's where I was. So it's going back for us. So finally I said, you know what, Vince? Screw it. I said, let Sean put Brett in his own move, the sharpshooter, and let the referee call for the bell. End it. Simple. End of story. This is at like 8 o'clock at night. Okay? Vince didn't say a word. This is probably like Thursday.
Right.
Okay? Right after that, I went home. The next day, I don't hear anything from Vince. And Vince and I would talk every day, right? We get to the pay-per-view, he's ignoring me. So, Steve, at this point, I don't know what the end game is. I have no idea. And, bro, I'll never forget it. Here's the match. I'm watching the match sitting next to Taker. Okay?
Where were you watching in the back?
In the back, on the monitor. Like, they're not having a clue to what he decided. And then all of a sudden I'm watching and I see that finish go down. And Taker was going to kill somebody. If he would have known, I would not be here today. Okay? But I also want to add this, Steve. Like, this is a part of the story too a lot of people don't know. Owen was still on our roster. Okay? A couple of days later, less than a week later, Owen called me crying on the phone. Vince, you have to talk to Brett. Brett says if I stay with the WWE, he's going to disown me as a brother. He don't want anything to do with me. Please, you've got to talk to him. So I was like, Owen, why are you calling me? You need to talk to Vince about this. Vince, I tried calling Vince. I can't get a hold of him. Somebody needs to talk to him, right? So, of course, bro, Vince could fire me over talking to Brett, So the first thing I try to do, I try to call Vince. He don't answer the phone, right? So, bro, I love Owen so much as a human being that I'm like, I gotta call Brett, So less than a week after that, I called Brett on the phone, and he wanted to kill everybody. I mean, forget about it. And I said to Brett, man up. I said, Brett, at the end of the day, Vince was looking to protect his entire company. It had nothing to do with Vince not trusting you. Vince didn't trust Eric Bischoff. Vince did not want Eric Bischoff parading his WWF title on their show. Vince was trying to protect the company. And I said to him, I said, Brett, as much as you'll never understand this and you're going to want to rip my head off, I totally stand behind Vince 100% of what he did. Now, am I sorry that it went down that way? Of course I am. Nobody wanted to see that. But Steve, being on that phone and knowing Brett was shooting down every single idea, he left Vince with no choice. And that's why what happened happened.
It was interesting that night. Of course, I watched the finish go down as well. I was at the building, and man, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, man, this is a guy who's our world champion. How are we going to proceed forward? Now, again, business was what it was. It wasn't the greatest in the world, but he was our world champion and our leader, and I was behind him. And to this day, I consider Bret Hart to be a very, very close friend and a person I have nothing but the utmost respect for, one of my favorite guys to work with. But that being said, I agree with the decision that was made as far as protecting the business, protecting the territory of the company that, Mr. McMahon Sr. had started. So, I was on board with the decision. But then at the building, it was total chaos and shock. And I didn't know what the heck was going on. And all of a sudden, who was it? Was it Davey Boy and Owen who went to the ring? Neidhart was there. He was pissed off and confused.
Yeah.
And then what happened when were you around when Vince walked into the room to confront Bret and got his clock cleaned?
It's like, Steve, don't get me wrong, bro. Me and Vince have had our differences during the year, and I haven't talked to him in years. That's a shoot. But how do you not respect the guy for doing that? He did something he did not want to do. He tried to do everything to get around it and avoid it. I can attest to that. And to walk in his locker room and to take what Bret believed Vince had coming, bro, how do you not respect that? To this day, I look back on that and that just, you could say a lot of things about Vince, but when you look at that, that really can tell you the makeup of a guy. That was incredible to me. I'll never forget the thing that ripped my heart out was after that happened, Mick walked past me and he stopped right in front of me and he said to me, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And like that tore my heart out. But I'm like, he was trying to protect you, Mick. He was trying to protect everybody that works for him. But that's what happened.
Well, tough day at the office that night, but it was a hell of a moment. It was in reading and listening to some of your interviews. Again, I didn't know that you're the one that came back with that finish.